So good morning. Today we are going to discuss section 13 of Transfer of Property Act. Section 13 provides for transfer for the benefit of unborn person. So when you read this particular section, this section says where on a transfer of property, an interest therein is created for the benefit of a person not in existence at the date of transfer. Subject to a prior interest created by the same transfer, the interest created for the benefit of such person shall not take effect unless it extends to the whole of the remaining interest of the transferor in the property. Uh, Before we discuss the different nuances in this particular section, I just request you to go back and look the definition of section 5. Remember in section 5 we discussed that transfer of property under TPA takes place between living persons only. Similar, this particular section, when we are talking about unborn persons, it means these persons have not come into existence. So this particular section says transfer for the benefit of unborn person, which is little different from a transfer or the direct transfer to unborn person. Therefore, this particular section is technically not in contravention of what we studied in section 5. In section 5, we anyway studied transfer between living persons. In section 13, we are not talking about transfer directly to unborn person, but we are talking about transfer for the benefit of unborn person. Now we will discuss the different aspects of this particular section. We'll start from the beginning. It says where on a transfer of property an interest therein is created for the benefit of a person not in existence at the date of the transfer. Right? So the first thing which we have to remember, an interest is being created for the benefit of a person not in existence at the date of transfer. So what is the meaning of it? Where we are definitely talking about unborn person, but the meaning of unborn person here, can we say, or it can be of two types. Unborn person can be of two types. First, a person, a child in the womb of a mother, as we called it in French, en ventre sa mère, or a person or the child who is yet to be conceived. So there is two types of division in this particular unborn persons. First is a person in the womb of her mother, of his mother. Second, a person who is yet to be conceived. So does this particular section deal with both types of divisions, or does it deal only with the person who is yet to be conceived? Uh, if you read some of the uh, personal laws, for example, Hindu law recognizes a person who is in the womb of a mother as in existence, right? Similarly, English law also recognizes such person in existence. However, if we read this definition, it says an interest therein is created for the person not in existence. So can we say the people or the child who is in the womb is not covered under this section? Here the opinion is divided. If you read Poonam Pradhan Saxena says this category of unborn person is included or includes both type of categories, which is a child in the womb of a mother as well as child who is yet to be conceived. So for the purpose of simplicity, we will understand the meaning of unborn person would be both a child in the womb as well as a child who is yet to be conceived. Now we shall move on further to a different line. It says subject to a prior interest created by the same transfer. Subject to a prior interest created by the same transfer. So whenever any transfer for the benefit of unborn person is being made, we have to ensure that a prior life interest is created before such transfer is made. So what is the meaning of life interest? The meaning of life interest here is a person who will be appointed as, for example, trustee on behalf of the unborn child, and that person will take care of the property. That person will preserve the property for the unborn child. Always remember this: the prior interest which is being created, this prior interest or the prior life interest will continue to enjoy the property till his lifetime, even if the child is born, and the child will get, though child will get the ownership of the property, a vested interest in the property, the possession of the property will be handed over to child only when this person who holds prior life interest dies. Let's understand this by an example, right? So A here wants to transfer his property to his grandson for the benefit of his grandson or grandchild. A knows that this property cannot be directly transferred to grandson because grandchild because he is unborn and because of section 13. So what A will do, A will create a life interest in favor of his son. So when you read this, you will get to know that in order to transfer the property for the benefit of unborn grandchild, A has to first create a life interest, and then he can transfer the property for the benefit of unborn person. So what I was telling you, this life interest which is created here, this person S will enjoy the property till his lifetime, right? He will preserve the property, he will maintain the property for this unborn child. When this unborn child gets the birth, he will get the vested interest in the property. It means he becomes the owner of the property. However, since the property or the life interest is created in favor of this particular person S will keep enjoying the property till his lifetime, and only after the death of S, grandson or grandchild will get the possession of the property. I'm repeating everything again. Understand this? Grandchild after the birth will get the ownership of the property. However, the possession is still with S. Now, after the death of S, the possession will get transferred to grandchild. Another thing which you have to understand, that why such life interest is created after all. What is the need of creating life interest? So let's understand this particular aspect. A wants to transfer his property to C who is unborn. We are talking about what is the need of creating life interest at all. So imagine a situation that A transferred the property in 1985. saying that my property will get transferred to, or will go to my, go to C who is unborn, hypothetically imagining that C will get birth in year 2000. Let's say imagine that at the time of transfer, C is not born. Let's imagine that C will get born on in the year 2000. Now what is happening here, after A has transferred the property to C, it means A is no longer the owner of the property, right? So from 1985 onwards, he has given up all the interest in the property. Now imagine a situation, C is not born yet. So it means he cannot take up the ownership of that particular property. So for 15 years, the situation is such that we do not have the owner of the property. Why? A has already given up his property. C is yet to be born, so he cannot take the ownership of the property before being born. And the property is in abeyance technically for that particular period. So in that situation, in order to tackle such situation, law must have undertaken this aspect that we have to create a life interest in favor of someone who takes care of the property in favor who takes care of a property for the unborn and preserves the property for the unborn, and when the unborn gets the birth, the property will get, or the ownership of the property will transfer to that child. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the another aspect. Unless, okay, the interest created for the benefit of such person shall not take effect unless it extends to the whole of the remaining interest of the transferor in the property. So what is the meaning of whole of the remaining interest of the transferor? The meaning of whole of the remaining interest of the transferor is nothing but whenever transferor is transferring the property for the benefit of unborn person, he must transfer an absolute interest in favor of unborn person. He must not keep any interest with him with respect to the such transfer. So whole of remaining interest of the transferor means whatever interest transferor has in the property, he must transfer all those interests to the unborn person. So यहाँ पे you have to understand that transferor must make an transfer of absolute interest in favor of unborn child. In case there is no transfer of absolute interest, then in that situation the transfer will get or become void transfer. It shall not take effect. Now we will come to discuss 2-3 points which we have to always remember. Creation of life interest. So it is not necessary that you have to create only one life interest. Several life interests can be created. For example, A can create a life interest in the favor of S for his life. After his death, D will get the life interest. Similarly, after the death of D, E will get the life interest. So such type of life interest can be created, or many life interests can be created. There's no foundation that you have to create only one life interest. Why this thing is practiced? Always understand or consider a situation where A, understand this with the example, A wants to transfer all his property to his grandchild who is unborn. So what he is doing, he is creating a life interest in favor of S. Now imagine a situation when S dies before grandchild is born. What will happen in that situation? Property will never go to grandchild and it will revert to A. Therefore, in order to keep a B safe, the transfer would ensure that life interest is created for at least 2-3 people, so that even if they die, ultimately after the death of one grandchild, some of them would be alive, or one of them would be alive. So the property does not get revert to A. A creates various life interests, uh, and then the property will ultimately go to grandchild. Second part is no life interest for unborn. Now imagine another situation. A wants to transfer his property to his grandchild 2 or the second grandchild who is unborn. So what he does, he creates a life interest in favor of S for his life. He also creates life interest in the favor of grandchild 1 who is unborn, and the life interest is created here. And then after the life of grandchild 1 to grandchild 2 who is also unborn. But when we read in section 13 last part, that the transferor must transfer whole of the remaining interest in the property. However, in this case of unborn child, only a limited interest is created through life interest. Matlab, he is not the owner, but he is simply enjoying the property, right? So it is not a transfer of absolute interest. Therefore, transfer to unborn person is usually considered as void transfers. Another thing you should always remember, any transfer or agreement which follows or which are subsequent to a void agreement also would become void. So it means if this agreement or this life interest become void, anything which follows after that agreement or the condition also becomes void. So technically, nothing will pass down to grandchild 1 or grandchild 2. After the death of S, the property will revert to A. I hope this is clear to all of you. Now understand what is the third point is. Third point is the validity of transfer through the language of the deed and not by actual events. This is basically is an expression which has been given to explain a case. In this case is known as Girija Dutt versus Mata Deen. Right. So here A made a gift of her property to B, let's say B, for her life, and then to her sons absolutely. We're talking about sons who are unborn absolutely, which is fine till here. However, this gift also says the deed also further provided that in case B had only daughters, in case B does not or she does not have any sons or she has only daughters, then only life interest shall be created in their favor. No vested interest, no ownership will be created. And in case B dies without any son or daughter, that is interstate without having any offspring, then the property will go to X. Now, we discussed in the previous point that you cannot create a life interest in the favor of unborn. So in this case, what A did, A created life interest in the favor of daughters who were unborn. Since this particular condition became void, any other condition that are subsequent to that condition also would become void. Therefore, that 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 condition, that if B is intestate or dies intestate or dies without any son or offspring, the property will go to X, becomes also void, and after the death of B, the property shall revert to A. This happened in Girjadutt versus Grijesh Dutt versus Tata Din. Now we'll come to the fourth point, the difference between English law and Indian law. The only difference between English law and Indian law is that in Indian law, we are talking about absolute interest being transferred to unborn. However, in English law, limited interest can also be transferred to unborn child. Right? This is the only difference. And ultimately, the corresponding section, if we read Indian Succession Act, Section 113 of Indian Succession Act also provides for similar expression or similar uh, uh, provision. Indian Succession Act. I hope everything is clear to you. In case if you have any doubt as such, please let me know and we can discuss whenever you have any doubt.